Yes, Cole.
Hey guys.
Okay, Mark and Lexi, you up for reading first up?
Absolutely. What was the other female voice first?
You can go first.
Oh, can I? Thank you. Entering the dialogue.
Oh,
When what are you doing, Lex?
I'm
Sorry. When you fully realize that sharing is necessary, you will have entered the dialogue. When you have fully surrendered to the fact that you can't come to know on your own, you will have entered the dialogue. When you fully accept that the voice of the one can be heard in the voice of the many, you will have entered the dialogue. When you fully realize that you are informed by everything and everyone in creation, you will have entered the dialogue. To inform is to make known. Thus, you can be made known by everything and everyone in creation, just as everything and everyone in creation can be made known by you. We have just spoken of the unknown and your willingness to accept your relationship with it in order for you to come to know it. The unknown and the known exist together in everything and everyone. Thus, your willingness to be made known and to know exist alongside your willingness to embrace the unknown. Thanks.
The spirit that animated all things is the spirit that is in all things, and is the great informer. As you are more fully able to maintain Christ consciousness, you begin the movement away from being observed to being informed by the spirit which animates all things. You begin the movement away from observing to informing. How can the invisible be observed? From within Christ consciousness, you begin to be able to know and to make known without observation or observance of the physical. This occurs through your relationship with the unknown. You begin to be informed by what is, without any regard for your level of understanding or knowing. You do this by taking what is into your spacious form rather than observing it as separate from you.
beautiful.
Previously, what you did not observe or see was not real to you. Through the practice of observance of the physical and the obvious, you began to be able to see beyond the physical and the obvious to what could not be observed physically.
Mm.
Practice has two purposes. The first was the establishment of a new kind of interaction and relationship between observer and observed. The second purpose was your preparation to move beyond observation.
Thanks, Lexi. Mark. Kim, you're next when you're ready.
Who, sorry?
Kim, you.
Oh, am I? Okay. It has been in the relationship of observation that you have interacted with all other life forms, as well as with inanimate forms. In the relationship generated by observation, those forms have been perceived as real. That observation produced the solidity and mass of the forms you observed. Yet it is the spirit that animates form that is real. Informing could be understood as making the spirit known in the form of physicality. It is not simply the bringing of spirit into form, but the making known of spirit in form. What you made known through judgment-free observation was but the precursor to what is made known through informing. The difference between simply bringing spirit into form and making spirit known through form is the difference for which the time has come. The observation you have practiced has prepared you to move from observation to informing and being informed. Okay, that's enough from me.
Thanks, Kim. Alison?
The animation of form with spirit is an ongoing aspect of creation. It is thus not time-bound. It did not take place at the birth of creation and then cease to be. It did not take place at the birth of the body and then cease to be. It is not about life and making form alive, but about spirit and informing spirit. It is about making spirit known through the form of physicality. In practicing.
Yeah. That's it.
Hey.
It's like, how do you see spirit in everything? Using your own spirit. If you look through your eyes, then you see physical and you see inanimate in a way, yeah. But begin to look through your heart, and everything becomes seen differently. Yeah, that's the whole.
It seems to me that's also what he's bringing up when he talks about extension, like as in he wants us to make spirit known through the form of our physicality. That would have to be to do with extension that he was talking about in the last chapter.
Yes. Well, that automatically happens. It's a default. I mean, you feel the spirit.
Right.
You got to feel the spirit. You can't just think it. It's spirit. It's a felt. When you feel the spirit, feel it. That's what we're awakening to. We're awakening to this whole new way of knowing through feeling, not just observing and mentally naming things, naming the animals. We are being informed. Yeah.
Mm.
In practicing observation without judgment, you learned to be neutral observers.
Mhm.
Mm. Being neutral observers allowed cause and effect to occur naturally rather than having your judgment alter natural cause and effect.
Mm.
This practice will continue to serve you and will not be replaced, but supplemented by the new practice of informing until the practice of observation is no longer needed.
Mhm.
This is the new realm of power that few in physical form have practiced and that has never been practiced by many at one time. It is a major shift because it is not neutral, but creative. It is of creation and can only flow through those who have mastered neutral observation, because the intent of creation, rather than the intent of the observer, is the creative force, the animator and informer. Yet, informing is a quality of oneness, and thus the joining of the self
Mm.
with the spacious self in oneness and wholeness must precede this step. This power cannot be misused because it is unavailable to those who have not realized their oneness with the creative force. Thus, while it is not the self who informs and is informed by the creative force, it is the self joined in union with the creative force that informs and is informed. In other words, in union, there is no distinction between the self and the creative force of the universe, the animator and informer of all things. Whoosh.
Thanks, Alison. I noticed Rich and Ian, I'm not sure when they turned up, but we're doing, not sure, Rich, if you got the right day. Usually you come yesterday. So anyhow, we're up to day 15 and we're up to 15.11. And Andrew, you're next if you want to read.
Sure. Engaging in dialogue with those who join you on the mountaintop is necessary to this next step. One reason is that it allows a starting point for your practice. While it is possible to practice observance in every situation, it is necessary to practice the ability to inform and be informed with others who have reached this level of neutrality along with you. This is why observation is not being replaced. observation is needed until this level of neutrality is reached by a much greater number. This greater level of neutrality will not be reached until those who are the forerunners have practiced and mastered this interaction with the creative force long enough to realize their oneness with it. While there is division remaining between the self and the spacious self, the self and the creative force, you remain in the state of maintenance rather than sustenance of Christ consciousness. This
This is loaded, huh?
Yeah.
felt like that was needed a pause, bit of a breather.
Mm.
This is an acceptable state for this time of limited practice with those with whom you are engaged in this specific mountaintop dialogue. It is not an acceptable state for full-scale interaction with the world, although this power cannot be misused. To have access to this power in one instance and not another as you move in and out of the state of Christ's consciousness will not serve the purpose of creation. What does it mean to practice informing and being informed? It means to join together with others who have the ability to maintain Christ consciousness in your company. This creates the joining together of spacious selves. It is a joining without boundaries. You become clear pools flowing into each other.
Mm.
You make your spirits known.
I have to say thank you, you guys. Thank you. Because we have the opportunity here to do this.
Mm.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes. And it happens more when we, when we read and then we suddenly can't read anymore. Like there is a need for the pause. And then there is this, like in a sense of like a change in the field. Yeah. We're beginning to we drop in unity. We're taken into unity in a way. Yeah. And then there is this like a reconnecting happens. Less we talk, actually, the perception is not an attribute of God. And so it's really more about this quiet joining that happens. Despite us, it's not an effort. Actually, less effort, the more it flows. Yeah.
Yeah, I need do nothing.
Yes, I need do nothing. Exactly. Actually, you need do nothing.
I need to do nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, you need do nothing. And that's the hardest thing. Can you do nothing? Because sometimes doing nothing is exactly what you still do. You're trying to do nothing. There's a place that's like it's a grace, The grace touches you and you go like, oh, this is how it works. Like you can't figure it out with your mind. No matter how much you train it, as far as you train it enough to step back and let what is true becomes like being revealed to you, to me, of course. Yeah. Until that happens, I'm just tripping, again, spiritually trip until cows come home, until these things begin to happen in us, where we just are taken, dropped into unity, and just go, oh my God. It's that experience of unspeakable. So we often stop reading and have to go into this silence, because the mind just cannot enter into that kingdom unless it's fully unified. Yeah. Hmm. Also, that word observation is really important to look at again, because when we say observation, what comes to mind?
Yeah, it's what comes to mind is looking at something from outside of it. But then there is a chapter early on, isn't there, where he talks about it being intimately connected with observance,
Exactly.
which is completely different.
Yes. That's the particular, when it turns into like observation, it turns into observance. You begin to see with the eyes of the heart. And you begin to see with feelings as well. Without that feeling realm, this is all just a one big story.
Well, when we look at observance, it's really connected with reverence, like a deep sense, felt sense, isn't it, of reverence?
Like blows your mind into smithereens, and you realize you've been in unity forever, and you know it. Oh, okay, what's next, guys?
We finished, and Andrew, have you finished?
I think so, yeah.
Yep. Your next call.
What number are we on?
15. I think. Oh, no, this cannot be explained in great detail. I can't see the number.
13.
13.
13.
This cannot be explained in a great detail, which is why it must be practiced. It is to your own authority only that you must appeal for guidance. First step is to access your own readiness. Are you ready? Are you able to be a clear pool? You got to say yes.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
We get to engage here, you know?
Yes.
Ask and you shall receive. Are you ready? Yes.
Mhm.
Are you ready for a miracle?
Let's have some fun. If you were a perfect clear pool, how would you feel? There you go. See that smile, Sharon? That just comes on. You know, that little something joins. I was like, oh, see, suddenly you see differently, right? We allow ourselves to dive in. Yeah. Could you allow yourself to be a clear pool? Just say yes. And then, yes. And then your will, your feeling self will begin to create this reality for you. There is no other way around this. Yeah. Because you're already accomplished. There's nothing lacking in you. We just haven't maybe used it correctly, the right use of the true self, or observance. And then that it begins to reveal itself to you. If you say yes, you're like, okay, ask and you shall receive. There will be a little tiny little feeling that will begin to emerge in you. Because it's not the physical pulls, of course. It's just that you become this see-through being. It's no longer dense and contracted. And then he goes, are you able to be a clear pulse? Yeah. If not, what prevents you? Any answers?
Hang on to my familiar self.
Yes. There you go. There's one block right there.
Judgment.
Judgment. What else?
Wanting people to see me a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Holding on tightly.
Yes. Do
Wanting
not.
to be right. Wanting to be right.
Yes. Yes. Do not be too hard on yourself now, for as has been said, the stones within your pools are like flecks of sand within the ocean. Observe the stones with neutrality and see if they do not wash away. Your willingness to have them gone is all that is required. If doubts of your readiness continue to persist, remember that doubt is caused by fear. Examine what you fear. Is it really the stones within your pool, or is it the challenge of moving with the currents that you know will be generated by the joining of the spacious selves? That's the answer right there, isn't it? Because it is like a current takes you, and you let your like step back and let him lead the way. Let the current of life take over. I call it the near life experience. Do you feel your power even though you have been told it cannot be misused? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you feel unworthy and seek to keep yours unworthiness hidden?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's a good place when you can admit it and have a little chuckle about it. Huh? Do you still fear being known?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Mm. It's good to look at the fears because Course in Miracles says it beautifully. Look at your fears because by not looking, they stay protected. And the real fear is not your first fear that comes to your mind. The real fear comes a little bit later because the real fear is a little bit below the surface, below the scene. Yeah, so it's good to look at the fears. Like, what are you really afraid of? Because when you see it, like you just did, you chuckled, you laughed. And actually, there is a release right there. When you see your fear, when you see them, they begin to move. The fear is only scary when you're not looking at it. But look fear in the eye and it disappears.
Because Because I've known I've had that fear like my whole life, basically. But
Yeah.
what does it mean to be known? But what is it to be known? Like, I don't even know what that means, what that really is, to be known. Like, why am I so frightened of something? I don't even know what it is. You know?
Mhm.
Like,
Exactly. So I
yeah.
invite you to like examine what you fear. Do have a look at it. I mean, it's not to analyze
Yeah.
it forever. Just look at it
No.
specifically, very briefly, yeah, until you see what holds you back. Then he goes, if so, enter the dialogue with the purpose of your final preparations in mind. Bring your fears into the light of oneness and see how the light dispels the darkness. Yeah. This is what we are here for. What?
I just realized, like, I have a fear of not of being known, but of then having to keep it up. I feel like I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde,
Mhm.
honestly.
Yes.
Hey.
This is what we are here for. There is no
Good.
time to waste, and no protracted length of time will be required if your willingness is true.
A fear to be known, can it be a fear of being known who you truly are, refusing to be the Christ that you are? That I think there's a fear in that, maybe you're not being adequate, maybe, but it states that you're accomplished. So
Yes, and also when that happens, you will see everything that you made up that's not true. And that makes you embarrassed. And who wants to be embarrassed? Put your hand up. Who wants to be embarrassed? No
Oh,
one.
yeah, I love
I don't want to
being
be embarrassed.
I find it hilarious.
that
It is hilarious. But it
even
is
that
also, huh?
isn't that also an illusion of
Of course
those
it
things?
is. Of course it is.
And
But it's an
and,
uncomfortable
and
feeling, right?
yeah, but if you are willing to drop it, if you are not afraid of being known,
Mm.
then you can pick up a true identity and go with it.
Yes.
And everything else that can come up from the illusion is not true.
Of course. Yes. All right. Who's next on the chart?
Anthony, you're next.
Where are we at? What number?
15.
15.
15.
I don't know how far I'm going to get today.
No, sweetie.
No.
This is it.
Breathe.
Oh God.
Nice, buddy.
I just feel disappointed in myself.
Don't worry, Anthony. We're all disappointed in you. Don't worry.
Disappointing. I mean,
We reappoint you, Anthony.
The main thing is you allow that emotion to move. You know, that's the beginning. It begins to move you so deeply. You know. Yeah, beautiful.
because I can feel so connected and amazing. And then I just wander off in my mind.
Yep, it's the
Yep.
mind.
You are here to make one another known, and in so doing, to know oneness. It will be less difficult to know this voice as the voice of oneness once you have listened to the voice of oneness in each other and benefited from it, from its healing properties. To heal is to make whole. To make whole is to become the spacious self. And to become the spacious self is to become ready to be informed and to inform with the spirit of creation. This is a very individual stage in the creative process. Groupthink does not replace the consciousness of the one self with the one group self. I need to read that again. This is a very individual stage in the process. Groupthink does not replace the consciousness of the one self with the group self, with the one group self. This is not a time of being judged or of adopting the beliefs of others, but one of finally conquering judgment with neutrality and acceptance. Allowing others to accept you as you are.
Yeah. Oh.
Allowing others to accept you as you are is a gift that releases them from judgment and any notion that you may have remained within
That may
them,
have remained.
that may have remained within them, that Christ consciousness is a form of groupthink. Never will you feel more like an individual than when you are made known through the informing of spirit. That's enough for me.
It's all, is he describing there the holding space? Is it, I mean, that's what comes to mind for me, is he's describing that holding space for someone.
I don't know. Groupthink.
Yeah. Well, you become non-judgmental, and if someone's falling apart, well, they are. If someone's heady, so they are. You know, whatever it is, you stay connected.
You know, something I've noticed in this book, I don't know that he uses the word forgiveness, but he talks about becoming neutral and he talks about non-judgment.
Same thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's nice to have it in different language.
It is.
I was a bit struck by this sentence, allowing others to accept you as you are. Like, what? How do you do that? Like,
Yeah, you know, there is a held sense for me of like there's a sense of if I'm feeling really contracted, there's a sense of me not allowing others to give me that spaciousness of actually holding on.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Mm.
Mm.
Because, yeah, I feel like normally if I'm not feeling quite right, I don't really want to show it even. Or, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
hide it. Yeah.
I find it really hard to hide whatever I'm feeling, which is
Mm.
annoying sometimes. I try to be bright. Oh God, my mum's words, be brave. And I'm just sort of falling apart.
Mm.
Oh,
Beautiful that you can.
Falling
Yeah.
apart is brave.
Yes. It's beautiful. It's
Mm.
beautiful.
you
But
know,
I,
we're taught it's brave to like not do that, you know.
kind of
We're
the
taught to
concept
not.
of AA, yeah, is you know, you share who you are as a person, and then I think this, you know, goes deeper to share who you are as, you know, a spirit with them. I mean,
Mm.
because every time I've shared, you know, honest and difficult situations, especially in the moment that I'm having them, people have always come up to me like in AA and said, "Oh, thank you so much for sharing. You know, that was
Mm.
brave or, you know, honest or and I got a lot out of it." And that's why I think there's a big point to being authentic in a clear pool, like this was saying. So
Yeah.
thank you, Anthony, for sharing your brave vulnerability.
Yeah. I got this feeling of such I can't even, it's not accepting myself.
Mm.
That's not just
And just
not
accept
wanting.
that as well. Accept the fact
Yeah.
that you can't do it. Just meeting it with love, basically. Whatever you are. Yeah. Because there's always that other part that jumps in that goes into this like, oh, it's not okay,
Mm.
which is lovelessness in a way.
But the words are unacceptable. I'm unacceptable.
Mm.
Fuck. Oh. Oh.
Mm. Mhm.
Wow. I'm
I can hear a laugh coming on there, Anthony.
Is it felt unacceptable? I'm unacceptable.
Yes.
Oh, that's quite funny now. Oh, wow.
Well, too, when you allow yourself to share from the heart, others are then given permission to also share from the heart. So that's why I say thank you. Yeah.
Mm.
You no longer have to hold yourself together. It can be a mess.
Messy.
Mm.
Mm.
And also allowing everyone else to be whatever they are. Even allowing others to be unloving. There's a total
Wow.
freedom in that. Yes. Allow people to
Yeah.
be non-accepting. Accept people's non-acceptance. Accept whatever is. Could you allow it all? The minute you do, everything begins to move because you actually enter the flow of life. Because you're no longer rigidly holding, it has to be like this, it must be thus. Huh?
Mm.
I know. The
Yeah.
control
Yes,
to be
control.
seen. Like you see me this way. I want you to see me this way, everybody. I
Exactly.
want to control.
Can you imagine the pressure you put out for the world to fit your needs?
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a
I was just I was just wondering about 15.15 paragraph, the first sentence,
yeah.
15.15. You know, you are here to make one another known,
Yeah.
and in so doing, know one's oneness. No, because you know, the Christ consciousness is all what the unity, it's oneness in
Mhm.
essence, and you take up the oneness. That's what you're trying to inform me about.
Mm.
Nothing else, right? And so when you inform me about that, then I know myself too, because it's the same thing.
Yes.
And what is arrogance really in spirituality and Course in Miracles? Arrogance is maintaining your ego self,
Mm.
other than informing me of who I am. I so what Annie was sharing, you know, is, you know, eventually I think it shows that when you share yourself, you know, other people begin to share themselves as well. So
That's it.
it doesn't matter what it is.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the goal is really to inform. Yeah, here to make one another known.
Here to make one another known. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I just sort of think of, you know, when with that sentence of Jesus coming 2000 years ago and just telling people you are the children of God, that's making one another known.
Mm.
Just telling people their true identity. And so I guess
Mhm.
that's what I mean, that's what I take from it. And that would be in treating people as equals and coming from a place of wholeness.
Yeah.
This is just my question, like maintaining your own individuality, is that maintaining your own individuality because the Christ consciousness and making other people know, to be known is to be known as the Christ, not the individual self. Fact, what is this
It's the
about?
same thing, isn't it? The same thing.
Well,
Individual means not being able to be like indivisible. Like it's a
individual,
paradoxical word because it stands for your own thing, but it's also something that's not being able to be divided. So it's a oneness.
yeah, because your oneness is your true self.
Mm.
Your That's your individual self. Because when it gets into Christ consciousness, it becomes everyone, not just your individual self.
But you're still an individual within that because
Both, both.
you've been made
Yes,
as a unique being.
is an
You've been created.
accomplished, is an accomplished one, right? An accomplished self that is coming down from the mountaintop. In fact, you know, what I'm getting to, you know, for myself is the fact that it's easier to maintain that wholeness, oneness of the Christ self than yourself, that old self that was just driven by the ego, because it's very vulnerable. Can crash really quick. But so the liberation of this is letting other people know who they are and who you are, which is the same thing. The one thing, the one wholeness.
Yeah, this ultimately there is no answer. The only answer is the experience of it.
Mm.
Like when we enter into, okay, let's put it that way. How many of you have entered into unity? Yeah, there you go. When you're in unity, I guess. When you're in unity, do you have questions?
No.
Exactly.
You are in dialogue, right?
And in dialogue. And dialogue, so this is the thing, we sometimes think dialogue in this sense, for me personally, I don't know how other people do this. For me personally, when I enter the dialogue, I don't talk.
Yeah.
It's not an
Yeah,
exchange of words. Everything is known in that place. Yes? It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen with everyone yet, but it does happen. And when that happens, there is no discussion. It's that sense of
everything.
unity with another. And there is a dialogue just by looking at, you can, I don't know, we just look at each other, but we're looking with the eyes of the heart, which can only unify. They only see unity. Yeah. That's why I think that idea, somewhere we think that Christ consciousness sees something and then forgives it. And right at the beginning of the course, it says, it does not see it.
Yeah.
It just does not see something to forgive because it has no ability to condemn. And when condemnation is necessary first, right? So you have to condemn and then forgive. Well, what if you stop condemning? Then there is nothing to forgive, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
So you're stopping the cause. Once you stop the cause, there is no need for the effect, right? Does it make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So enter the place where you go, okay, I'm not gonna name anything right now. Boom. It's like, whoa, where am I?
I had an experience of yesterday. I was getting stuff out of storage, and there was a guy parked with his big truck and trailer right across the entrance, and I couldn't get the trolley through. And I went and found the guy and asked him, could he move it so I could get the trolley through? And it was still, and he was, very amicable about it. He no problem at all. And so he moved it for me, and all the way through me going and getting stuff, I had this niggling thought kept coming up. He could have moved it right out of the way, and why didn't I just expect him to move it right out of the way? And why is he just standing out the front with his truck in the way? All this stuff. And because I've been looking at, like what's going on in Israel and all that stuff too, and praying about it and asking, like, how is this happening when we're doing all this work? How's all this stuff still going on? But I saw it and I just for a moment stopped and I went, that's a thought in my mind that I'm choosing to hold on to. And I went to my spacious self. I deliberately went to the spacious self and it dissolved. It was gone. And I saw how those little thoughts that I'm choosing to hold create, that's what creates the conflict outside of me. That's what creates all that stuff. Anyway, it was just a really interesting thing just to go to that spacious self. I had nothing to do but go there, and it was gone. It's like, and that's when I noticed that he doesn't really talk about forgiveness in here. He's just describing a method of, he's just taking us through one step at a time to a different place. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. I don't really know how to describe it, but that was really an eye-opener for me.
Let's go back to the text, huh? I'm sure there will be an answer.
Sharon, you feel like reading today?
Yes. Realize how necessary dialogue is. Many resist this stage of development because they feel they have achieved inner knowing. They may still consider themselves to be capable of growing and changing, but feel, in a certain sense, that it is unnecessary. They have achieved a goal consistent with their concept of inner knowing and mistaken this as knowing the self. Movement is necessary to know the self.
Wow.
The ongoing.
Yes, movement is necessary. Sorry to interrupt you, sweetheart.
No.
I think that's such an important sentence. It's like that inner movement when things begins to move you. Yeah, something begins to no longer be solid, more flowing than solid. Yes. Please go on.
The ongoing informing or animation of the physical with the spiritual is just that, ongoing. The easiest way of all to slip from knowing to not knowing is through stagnating in a known place.
Oh, wow.
To cease to accept the unknown is to cease to come to know. Entering the dialogue keeps you in constant contact with the unknown and with the unceasing coming to know. You thus are not to come together as the known, but as the unknown. You dialogue about the unknown, not the known. By keeping in constant contact with the unknown, you stay in constant dialogue, for you have not claimed a knowing that disallows coming to know. You are in dialogue because in dialogue, coming to know is a fluid exchange.
Beautiful.
I'll stop there. Thank you.
Sure. Wow, that's beautiful, huh?
Yeah. Sam, you reading today?
Yeah, I can read. I just wanted to say, or what Cole was saying about in the dialogue, it's a state of being in the unknown, right? Because it was, you know, the learning course right now is just like so the opposite from the world, because it points you to the unknown other than the known. This is interesting. That's what dialogue is. Okay, so it's 15.20, right?
Yep.
Imagine the current of the energy or clear pools of the spatial selves coming together. This current washes some stones clean and washes others away. It changes the clear pool by dredging up sediment that is settled on the bottom. As the clear pool merges with the current of other clear pools, it is able to change directions, see new sights, gain new insights. While this is only an initial or practice stage of movement, it is obvious that movement will always be needed for the clear pool to not become a stagnant pool.
Beautiful.
To be engaged in dialogue with certain others is different than engaging the dialogue.
Entering.
Yeah. To be engaged in dialogue with certain others is different than entering the dialogue. But entering the dialogue is not different than engaging in a specific dialogues. This is so because entering the dialogue is an encompassing state in which everything and everyone interacts with you through the exchange of dialogue. While you are asked to promote wholeness and sustainability of Christ consciousness with others, sharing the specific means of coming to know with you, you are not asked to disregard any other means of coming to know or to see any others differently than you see those with whom you are engaged in this specific dialogue for this specific purpose of practice.
Annie, are you reading today?
Yes. 5:15:22?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. However, knowing that you have entered the dialogue does not mean that you will not have an awareness of those who would infringe upon rather than join with your boundaryless state. You must but remember that those who still have boundaries have a need for those boundaries. Oh, I need to read that again.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you must but remember that those who still have boundaries have a need for those boundaries. Thus, you are not depriving them of anything when you slip into observable states of being. There is a purpose for this time in which both informing and observing, being informed and being the observed, coexist. You must respect the boundaries of those who are still in need of them and not offer more than can be received. This is why practice among those who are ready to be boundaryless and spacious selves is appropriate and acceptable. To practice as to inform is to make known. To practice as to inform does not mean, however, that you know nothing. Practice is the merging of the known and the unknown through experience, action, expression, and exchange. It alters the known through interaction with the unknown. It allows the continuing realization that what you knew yesterday was as nothing to what you know today, while at the same time aiding in the realization that what you come to know has always existed within you in the realm of the unknown that also exists within you. While you have been asked to remove yourself from life during this time on the
Sorry, it's not been asked.
Yeah. Let's begin. What you have asked to remove yourself from life during this time on the mountain, you have been asked to be here and to join with others here for a purpose. As such, this time is also a beginning to the practice of realizing and being able to accept a certain duality. Without necessarily realizing, your consciousness has been in two places at once without being divided. As you re-enter life on level ground, this ability to carry an undivided but spacious consciousness with you will be paramount and will have many practical as well as spiritual applications. I'll stop there. It reminds me of a word, I probably mentioned it here before, that I learned in music called conflation. And it's when you are playing a chord, say on the piano with many fingers, you actually hear each note and you hear the whole chord. And that's what this reminds me of. It's not one or the other, but it's both simultaneously. So that's how I see it, my individual self and my one self with the animator are both happening simultaneously, as everybody's is. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie. Now, I don't know if Lexi and Mark are there still. That's got their picture up.
Yeah, I'm still here. Thank you.
Are you going to read?
Yep. We're 1524.
25.
25, yeah.
One of the practical aspects has just been discussed, that of engaging in dialogue with some and entering the dialogue with all. This is a demonstration of levels of consciousness at work. It is important to be able to hold the spacious consciousness of the one self and also to be able to focus, to not exclude while also making choices about where your attention is given. Just as you respect the boundaries of those who are still in need of boundaries, you also must respect your own boundary-less space. As you engage in dialogue as the spacious self and are made known, your purpose here will become more clear. Thus, your ability to embrace all while focusing on your own purpose in being here will begin a new process of individuation. The distinctness of your own path will be made visible, and you will see that it may be quite different from the others with whom you are coming to know, and perhaps quite different than you thought it would be. You will be shown that you can enter the dialogue with all and still focus, or place your attention on areas that might not interest others in the slightest. You may thus find that there is a time of walking alone approaching, or a time of gathering with many. You will realize that you have felt cocooned by the time on the mountain and by those who have joined you, and that you may have grown less eager to strike out on your own. You may have thought the joining being done here was the joining with a specific group rather than a joining with yourself and with all. This fallacy needs to be brought to your attention now so that you join in true spaciousness with those coming to know along with you. You do not create false ideas concerning what this is about. Remember that this journey has not been about becoming selfless, but about realizing your true identity. We have now debunked your myth about your true identity being an idealized form of the self.
Idealized.
Now, idealized form of the self. Now are you ready, through your ability to view your own self as well as that which you observe, with a neutrality that embraces the unknown as well as the known, to reclaim yourself and your purpose here?
Beautiful.
I'm ready.
Yes.
Me too.
Mm. Beautiful. Oh. Mm. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you, everyone.
Mm.
Thanks, everyone.
That's exquisite.
Mm.
We'll see you in a week on a Paradise Refound, day 16.
Wow.
Yeah. Something to look forward to.
I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Yes.
Mm.
You're on your group tomorrow.
Thanks, beautiful people.
Thanks, Lexi. Thanks for coming.
Lovely to see you, Lexi.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Great way to start the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank
See
you.
ya. Thank you.
See you guys. See you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.